Welcome to a new video. So today we are going to talk about methods and constructors. Methods and constructors both are function, but there's a difference between them that we are going to talk about today, and we will show you how to use them. So this was the output that we were getting in the last video that we've done. If you haven't done, I will link it and you can go and check. This was the output, and that's all the code that we had. So right now we are going to make a function that will be a method. So we will start by making one function, and we are going to remove all of this detail that we have. So we have 3 users detail. We will take all of this, we will delete it, and now we have a simple code here. What we are going to do is we are going to simply go inside this class that we've done, and we will write void just like we normally do. We will write void. We are making function that is going to show us detail. So right now you see here we have cout, student name, course name, student ID. So simply we could just call a function and they will show all of these names. We will write this details. So we will name it as a details, then simply put brackets, parentheses, and then brackets. So this is our method or function. You can simply copy paste these details inside them. In fact, what we are going to do is we are going to do something interesting first. So we will make them comment initially. We will come to this later. We will just try cout blah blah. In fact, these are details. And then, so right now you see that there's nothing that we have. There's no function. If we were to run this thing, it's not going to show us anything because there's no output. We are going to do is we are going to call this function details parentheses, and that's it. In fact, we would have to write student1. So we will write the name of our object, and then we are going to call our function, and we will run it to see what do we get. Details. So then we are going to run our function, and what we get is we get the details. So we are going to leave this for later part because we do not have these details. We do not have name, course name, student name. For them, what we are going to do is we are going to do second function, which is called constructor. You can also call it a special function that automatically works. So normally you need to call this function. With that function, you don't need to call it. It will automatically take the details. So we are going to make that. We are going to go up and we will name this function. We are not going to write void. We are simply naming this function as a class. So we have class name, we have a name student for our class. We are going to write student exactly same with the same alphabet. So right now we have a student which is exactly same as our the name of our class. Now we are going to put parentheses and then 2 brackets, curly brackets, you can call it. And inside this function we will write, we are going to give it a parameters that we want to take details. So right now we are taking 3 details. We will add one more, float marks. So these are going to be the marks of our student. So we need four inputs right now. Normally we need to assign it separately here. We wouldn't need to assign them later on. We can make them comment right now. So right now you see we need four different variables to store these details. So we will make string. We are going to name it s name. So basically it means in fact we are going to make it C name, so it means constructor name. Then we are going to write another string. We are going to write C course name. Then we are going to make another parameter integer C student ID. Then we are going to make another one float C marks, and this is our constructor, or you can call it special function. So right now we have four these details that we have here. So anytime that we will run this program, what this is going to do, wherever we call this object, we will have to write these details. Otherwise it's not going to work. So right now you see this is already coming out as an error, because it's not going to work unless we type these ones inside in the int main. So right now we are going to assign them to these values, because we cannot just simply straight away write them here and expect to get the details. We will have to basically make other variables and then assign these variables to these ones. So our name, which is this variable, will be what we get for C name. Our course name will be what we get for C course name. Then we have student ID will be what we get for C student ID, and then we will have a marks, which will be equal to C marks. So right now we get all these three details. So first of all, what we need to do is, in order to run this, we need to make two parentheses here. So normally we make an object, or we make a, when we try to run a class, we just simply we will give it a name. But this time we will give it a name, but then we will also put parentheses, these two brackets, and in between these brackets what we're going to do is we are going to put values of these three. So normally we were signed, as we've done before, we were signed separately like this, and there was a long code. But this time we are going to show you different methods. We will have Tom first, then we have course name, which is going to be computer science. And then we are going to have student ID, which will be, we can just type 1 2 3 4 5, and then ultimately we are going to have C marks. So we are going to type the marks of the student, which could be, let's say, 50, and we are going to remove this. So right now if we run it, so we've done it wrong. It was a student ID. That's fine. So now we've run, everything's working, that's fine. Now we are going to output this detail by actually calling the function, the method that we've made early on. We will remove this line, simply remove this line, make them code, and we will remove this one as well. So now we can simply write name, because the values, it already gets the value, assigns it to the name, and then we can simply write the name. We didn't have to go through all this once again, because we already got the values through the constructor. So now we can output, and we will see, we will get three values because we don't have. We will run this. Oh yeah, we did not call the function, in fact. So we will write student name, which is the name of our object, then details, simply call it a function, and that's it. So all that long code that we've done before, it just small bit left, just two lines in the int main, and they will work for the one. we're going to type cout. Run this program, and what we get is we get the value, 3 different values. We can make another program that we another details for the students. This will be called student2. This can have a name of Kara. Let's say it studies political science, and it gets the marks 8, and it has ID of 6789393. So we will output this to see if it works. It does work. Or we can also go cout and L just to create a space. So now you can see we get 2 different details. Oh, that's because we have not changed the function. Now you can see we get 2 different details here. So now we are going to make another function which will be called average. So what we are going to do is we are going to take the marks of our student and then calculate average using the if statement within our method or function. So we are going to go inside the class that we have here. We are going to say void average. So we are going to give it a name of average, parentheses and brackets, and here we are going to write if statements. So if parentheses, and if our marks, we don't need to go through this, we don't need to put any parameters here because, as I said earlier, we already get details in our main constructor. So this is our constructor and this is our method that you have. This is method of function. So if marks are less than 40, then it is going to fail you. So it's going to say you it can in fact say, so you will say the name and then it will say message is failed. So no matter what student, if we have the first Tom student getting failed, it will say Tom failed, and if we have Kiara getting failed, it will tell that as well. Then we are going to write else if marks are greater than or equal to in fact greater than 40 and marks are less than or equal to 70. This basically means as long as marks are between 40 and 70, then perform this else if statement, which is going to be you passed cout name cout you is passed, then simply enter. And then last one that we are going to do is we're going to make another else. We can make else as well because there's no other condition, as long as if it's less than 40 it's failed, and if it's more than 40 and in between this it's passed, and there's no other statement that we can have. Basically we are going to get higher number at the end of the in the else statement, but we are going to make else if, which is going to be marks are more than 70. So if marks are more than 70, then it's going to copy paste this. It's going to say you is, we are going to basically write is a topper. So now we have 50 and 80. Hopefully we'll get topper for this because this is the statement that applies to this, and then for the term one we are going to get 50, so we are going to get the middle one. We will run this, and what we get is we did not call the function, in fact. So we are going to call the function student1 average, then student2 average, run this program, and then what we get is it's as you can see, we've got the details, but they are not clear. It says Tom's pass, because even though it's under this, that's because we did not put space here. Number two, we didn't need this C out. We will put this C out here. Oh, we will run this program, and what are we going to get is we got Tom, computer science, student ID, then score, and then it says it's passed because it's 50. And for the second one, Kiara is a topper because she's got 80. Now we are going to change the numbers. We are going to put 20 for this one, and then we are going to put 60 for this one. Run the program, and what we're going to get is we get Tom is failed because it's called as 20, and then Kiara is passed. It's got 40. She's got 60. So that's how you can use if statements within the methods, and you can use normal methods as well, like this one. And you can also use the constructor, which is a special function. You can also perform certain outputs with the inside this one as well. You can also perform if statements inside this one as well. So these can be used for multiple purposes.